Upon the guidance of exiled Jedi Grandmaster Yoda, the rebel crew of Ahsoka Tano, Kanan, Jarrus and Ezra Bridger go to the planet of Malachor in a bid to find a way to defeat Darth Vader and his team of Inquisitors. Approaching a monolith inscribed in ancient text, Ezra accidentally triggers the power within, and they fall into an ancient chasm below. Ahsoka is able to identify that they had fallen right into the foundations of a Sith Temple, and walking through an ancient battle, Ezra fell into an underground tunnel after battling an Inquisitor. There the Jedi padawan meets a strange Force user called the Old Master, who was actually the former Sith Darth Maul, who manipulated Ezra into taking a holocron. Tasking what he thought to be his new apprentice to activate the superweapon with the holocron, Maul turned upon the rebels and blinded Kanan until he was stopped by Ahsoka and Kanan. But what if Maul had never betrayed the rebels? How would this affect Ezra? Would it change the outcome of the duel between Ahsoka and Vader? As you'll discover, Maul's loyalty could have transformed the rebellion. Thrusting his lightsaber through the seventh sister, Maul looked at Ezra in disappointment at his failure to deal the killing blow. He then realised that Ezra would never become the powerful apprentice that he needed, were he to get his revenge on Sidious. Instead of turning upon the rebels as he had planned, Maul guided Ezra to the top of the temple, whilst Ahsoka and Kanan were distracted with the other Inquisitors, allowing them to place the holocron inside the obelisk. The structure began to glow as the superweapon slowly charged to its full potential, until Maul sensed the presence of Darth Vader growing closer and closer. On one of the lower levels, Ahsoka and Kanan had defeated the 5th and 8th brothers, before finding themselves bathed in a glowing purple light from the obelisk. Ahsoka also sensed the dark presence of Vader in the TIE Advanced Starfighter hovering above her, and instructed Kanan to take the holocron out before he could wreak havoc on the planet as she went to battle the Sith. But as they reached the summit, Vader was already there and battling Maul. Kanan saw that Ezra was scrambling towards the obelisk despite an injury and ran to his padawan to retrieve the holocron. As Maul got pushed into a pit below, Vader turns to meet his former apprentice and offers to spare her life. Ahsoka ignites her blades to avenge her former master, but as they are about to lock blades, Maul flew from the side of the cliff face and thumped Vader on the top of his helmet, cutting through the top layer. Maul tries to take advantage of his attack and kill the Sith apprentice, but he was stopped by Ahsoka. Vader looked up from the ground, expecting Maul to deal the killing blow, but realised that the Zabrak and himself had the same goal, to find and kill Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hearing the name of the renowned Jedi Master, Ahsoka claimed that he had been killed alongside the other Jedi in Order 66, but Vader and Maul disagreed, believing he was still in hiding. Just as Maul and Vader were about to turn their blades upon Ahsoka, the ground began to shake as the temple began to seal after the holocron had been removed from the obelisk, and Ahsoka dived for the closing gap. Escaping with the ghost crew, this left Maul and Vader in the exploding temple, and they had to think quickly together, so they pierced their lightsabers into the floor below and tumbled out into the depths of the temple. Vader wheezed as he scrambled out and found Maul nearby, who was moving to one of the TIE Advanced Starfighters which the Inquisitors had left behind. Not a word was said between them as Vader guided Maul to his personal Star Destroyer, and they landed side by side in his hangar. The two Darkside users began to discuss their tracking of Obi-Wan, and Maul is insistent that Ezra held the key, so they had to retrieve the holocron. Back aboard the Phantom, Ahsoka was still recovering from learning the truth about Obi-Wan. Ezra walked into the room, and Ahsoka finally admitted that Vader had been a former Master Anakin Skywalker, and now he was after Obi-Wan. Ezra twirls the holocron in his hand, and is insistent they had to find the Jedi Master. Whilst Ahsoka appreciated the help and enthusiasm, this was a journey she had to make without him. Landing on the rebel base of Atollon, Ahsoka cannot bear to look at Captain Rex, now knowing the truth that Anakin would not return, and took one of the T6 shuttles to Alderaan. Floating serenely through the clouds, the former Jedi Padawan is met by Leia Organa. Ahsoka bowed to the rebel princess and asked to meet her father, stating that this was an emergency. Bail Organa soon walked out with two of his guards, and Ahsoka wanted to know the truth about Obi-Wan, recalling what Maul and Vader told her, and that he was now in danger. The Senator of Alderaan reluctantly deployed a projection of the galaxy and pointed to Tatooine. It was time to find the Jedi Master. With Maul and Vader on the hunt for Obi-Wan, Ahsoka hurried off to Tatooine in her T6 shuttle, accompanied by her old friend R2-D2, worried that she would be unable to find the Jedi Master from the vague coordinates given by Bail Organa. The former Jedi landed haphazardly on top of a sand dune and tried to use her macro binoculars, but as her master once told her, Tatooine was nothing but sand. R2-D2 scanned for any kind of structures, but there were none within his range. Then Ahsoka sensed something powerful in the Force. The two of them continued to walk along the sand until Ahsoka saw an isolated structure which she knew had to be the home of Obi-Wan. But as she walked towards it, she sensed a presence even more powerful from a distant home and wondered if Obi-Wan had something to do with it. Ahsoka spotted that Obi-Wan was not in his hut, but in fact sitting alone by a fire, and he looked up to see the former Jedi. Obi-Wan told Ahsoka that she was in danger, but she would not leave without informing Obi-Wan that Maul and Vader were after him. Obi-Wan put out the fire immediately and informed Ahsoka about his true role on Tatooine in protecting Anakin's son Luke Skywalker. Just as Obi-Wan was about to guide her into his hut, they both heard the sand suddenly swirl around them, and two Tyrant starfighters land close by. Obi-Wan pushed Ahsoka to go and grab Luke, and realised what Obi-Wan was implying, running to the Lars' home. Preparing his blade that he had rarely used in his time in isolation, the opponents that Ahsoka warned him about stepped to greet him. Maul and Vader twirled their blades confidently in their hands, and Maul was keen to make a move. The two dark side users had managed to catch up to the Ghost Crew, and Maul utilised his influence on Ezra to fuse the holocrons on the planet of Atollon and discover the location of the Jedi Master. Lunging towards Obi-Wan, the Jedi Master is well prepared for the attack from his old foe, before he is sent back by a powerful strike from his former apprentice. Vader was in no mood for mercy, as he slashed violently at Obi-Wan's aging defences, and he slipped into the sands below. Vader hated being on the coarse sand, as his boots began to fill up with the fine grains, but used this pain to fuel a giant leap, and unlike on Mustafar, he would not fail, as he dealt a fatal strike to his old master. Obi-Wan had failed to recover from his fall, but watched in content as Ahsoka had managed to escape with Luke before he disappeared into the Force. Vader was confused by Obi-Wan's body disappearing, but knew that another Jedi had fallen, and now he wondered what to do with Maul. Rather than kill the Zabrak, he offered to join him in his quest to kill his other opponent Insidious, and Maul agreed. The two Darkseid users left in their starfighters and began their next move. Back in Ahsoka's ship, the Togruta felt the loss of the Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and she now felt responsible for taking care of Luke. Before she reached Alderaan, she received a transmission from Senator Bail Organa, diverting her to the planet of Dagobah. Confused as to this request, Ahsoka had enough fuel to reach the Outer Rim planet, and R2-D2 rerouted her navigational computer. Approaching the mysterious planet, Ahsoka could detect it was extremely powerful with the Force, and she wondered if this was the home of Yoda. Slowly, they descended through the clouds, and she saw the exiled Grandmaster perched on a rock as she then bowed to him. Lamenting the loss of Obi-Wan, she brought the slightly scared Luke to him before declaring he would be trained in the light side of the Force. Outside of Dagobah, Maul and Vader were pleased with their efforts in finally getting rid of Obi-Wan, and they decided that to defeat Sidious, they needed to use the Death Star super laser to their advantage. Arriving at one of the many docking bays, Vader was shocked to see Darth Sidious, and before he could even warn Maul, he had already landed next to him. Maul played the role of a captured victim, and Sidious cackled at the demise of his former apprentice, ordering him to be taken away to one of the onboard cells. Vader dragged him to the detention area, and in the cell, they planned to eliminate the Death Star, with Sidious still inside the technological space station, but they needed to wait for the moment when the Emperor was too secure in his powers. Closing the cell door, Vader walked back to the command bridge, where his master was waiting for him, and together they looked out at the galaxy, not knowing that they would soon battle for the right to rule it. Outside of the field of view of the Sith, Luke Skywalker was making quick progress in his Jedi training under Yoda and Ahsoka Tano. Aware of the threat posed by the Sith, Luke learned the art of force deflection to block any force-orientated attack, as well as excelling in lightsaber combat. But with the Death Star having already decimated several rebel planets, frequent transmissions from Princess Leia were demanding for their intervention were the rebellion to survive. Yoda insisted on patience, and after what seemed to be an eternity, he deemed Luke to be ready for his greatest test, were he to be truly worthy of his Jedi status. Leaving the planet, Yoda planned for Luke to be captured by the Empire, knowing he was wanted by the Emperor, before Ahsoka and himself sneaked in, whilst the Imperials were distracted. From aboard a Rebel Alliance cruiser, the Ghost crew had joined the Rebels, and they all watched Luke fly alone in his X-Wing. Just as Yoda had predicted, Luke was allowed passage into the Death Star hangar, and Hera Syndulla guided her crew, then Ahsoka and Yoda to follow Luke. The Imperial TIE fighters hover around the Death Star, and Hera uses all of her supreme piloting skills to navigate to an obscure docking area located in one of the lower levels. Ezra leapt out and force-pushed the stationed stormtroopers into the walls before they could sound the alarms as they went in search of Luke. Descending even further downwards, the Jedi infiltrate the detention area and find Luke in one of the cells, dragging him out into the open and providing him with his new lightsaber. Rising to the level of the primary docking area, Luke stepped out and ignited his blade, pointing at the Emperor. The Sith Lord orders his apprentice to attack him, but Vader secretly had other ideas, cleverly dragging the battle back into Maul's temporary cell. Releasing the former Sith by breaking the mechanism with his lightsaber, the unexpected attack of Maul would have been critical had it not been for the intervention of Ezra. The Jedi Padawan had improved, but was still outmatched as he is pushed into the turbolift. Maul and Vader bring the battle back to the location of Palpatine, and the Sith Lord is seething at Maul's release. Going straight for his former apprentice, Maul is defenseless against his old master, soon writhing in a lightning attack, but as Vader was about to betray his master, Ahsoka attacked him by surprise, slicing part of his upper body. Vader began to wheeze, but his pain fueled him as he powered through the defences of his old apprentice to strike her down. Luke howled in fury at Ahsoka's demise, and against the pleas of Yoda, he used his anger to attack both the Emperor and Vader. The two Sith are taken aback by this level of aggression from a Jedi, and with Yoda, they began to retaliate with the power of the light. From the floor, Maul got up from his torture and found his lightsaber was broken, so summoned one of Ahsoka's fallen blades, running as Sidious. Plunging the bright lightsaber into Sidious's chest, Maul found his own chest had been punctured by the blade of Ezra Bridger, who had recovered from his injury. Soon Luke battled his father, and alongside Yoda, they defeat the former Jedi Knight. Luke knelt down to his father, and removing his mask, Anakin apologised for all the crimes he had committed and the tragedy he had inflicted upon Luke, before the sound of his notorious breaths faded into the rebel gunfire which was heading their way. Dragging the bodies of Ahsoka and Anakin to the lower levels, Hera was stationed in her freighter and took them back to the rebel fleet, whilst Luke entered his still functioning X-Wing. The Jedi Knight flew and joined the squadron and managed to fire his proton torpedo into one of the Death Star's exhaust ports, just before he could unleash his superweapon upon another rebel planet, sending shards of debris across the stars. Luke travelled with the Ghost crew to Chopper Base and the planet of Atollon, where away from the celebrations occurring across the galaxy, Anakin and Ahsoka were buried alongside each other, and Luke creates a small memorial for Maul's worthy sacrifice. As Yoda and Luke watched the former Jedi burning at a pyre, they are joined by Captain Rex, who was both angry for not knowing that Anakin had become Darth Vader, and also saddened by the fates of his former general and commander. Eventually walking away from the flames, the Jedi and Ghost crew join the celebrations with the other rebels, and R2-D2 beeps sadly as they are congratulated by Leia and Bail Organa. Yoda reveals Leia's true lineage to Anakin, and Rex declares that she should be proud, despite the atrocities he had done as Darth Vader. Walking into the trees, Rex and R2-D2 had a lot of stories to tell the twins of Anakin. That is it for What If Maul never betrayed the rebels. If you enjoyed this What If, please like this video, turn on that notification bell, click that subscribe button on this channel, as well as on my other channel What If Films. And as always, leave a comment on what if you'd all like to see next, and how I can improve my videos. Thank you all very much for watching, and see you next time.